Juicest, Juicest, Juicest.
We on the Juicebox.
Juicest, 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 Juicest.
We on the Juicebox.
Juicest, 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 Juicest.
Hey, we on the Juicebox.
Hey, it's your girl Jade.
Hi, I'm Lanice.
And we're here for another episode of the Juicebox. And we have some beautiful ladies sitting here with us. Miss Tassili.
Greetings.
And
Miss Ifini.
Miss Ifini. Nice to meet you guys.
It's awesome meeting you all too.
So I see the way you're dressed. This is so beautiful. You're layered in jewelry and different. What inspired you today to dress like that?
I just like this every day.
Oh, really?
So, you know, it's not our costume. It's our culture. It's what we do.
Speaking of culture, that's what today's topic is about. Culture. In your own words, would you be able to define culture?
Yes. For me, culture is a way of life of any group.
Yeah.
You know, it's what they eat. It's what they speak. It's what they do whenever it is they go about their work. It's how they raise their children. It's their whole orientation. How they practice their spirituality.
Right.
You know, whatever that is. What would you say?
I would agree. It's really our liberty. It's how we live, or how anyone lives. That is what your culture is.
Right.
Whatever. But we consider cultural like our African ancestral culture. We live it. We, you know, deal with a vegan lifestyle because that's the way that we feel to best support our health and the health of the planet.
Okay. So how long have you been doing the vegan lifestyle?
Well, for me, it'll be 30 years this year.
Wow, congratulations.
So you weren't raised on...
Oh, absolutely not. I was an omnivore. I ate anything and everything at least once.
Raw steak.
Only thing I didn't like was chitlins because I just could not get past the smell.
I have never
I couldn't get past the smell. I just, when someone came to our house and they were preparing it, because my mother didn't prepare it. She did everything else from a hog, but she didn't prepare chitlins.
Okay.
And so they were having a party, someone came over and was preparing the chitlins, and as soon as I got to the door, I smelled it, and I went back outside.
But see, some people's culture, they love it. So
It's
that's
true.
their culture.
Right.
It's true. And so I first, when I became conscious about wanting to eat differently, it was because I had heard what they were doing to the animals. So the mistreatment of the animals was such that I just didn't want to participate in it.
Right.
So initially I tried to be vegetarian. And I got married, got pregnant, and you know, my husband at the time was not really trying to be about that life.
Right.
So I started eating fish and chicken again to just keep harmony in the household. So after 14 years of that, I moved to Atlanta and became vegan. And that was with my second husband. And he was a very strict vegan. And so I did that. I was with him 4.5 years. I was a strict vegan for 13 years. And then after that, I wilded out. I was upset with everybody in the culture. And I didn't start eating meat again, but I started eating things that had dairy in it, sugar in it, all that kind of stuff. And within 2 months, I had Bell's palsy. Half my face was paralyzed. My body hated it.
What?
Yeah, and I was being two-faced with myself. You know, you have to be true to yourself.
Right,
so our body's wisdom is such that it will let us know when we're out of order. And so half of my face paralyzed. And what healed me was a raw living. I only ate raw. A friend of mine brought me food every day, and that's what healed me. And after 20 years of being a vegan, I began to experience the onset of arthritis in my fingers and hands. And I thought it was because I had been a loctician and a braider for over 30 years, and I was still doing that at the same time.
Right.
But when I spoke to a friend of mine, Dr. William Richardson, who is here in Atlanta with Atlanta Clinic of Preventative Medicine,
Okay.
he's a MD, a naturopath, and a raw foodist. He was like, Tassili, that's the starch. You eat too much starch. And I was like, no, not me. I'm a vegan. This can't be happening to me. He said, I don't know what you're doing, but I do know that it's the starch. So I went for a whole week without starch. After the week, the pain was gone, the stiffness was gone.
From the arthritis, right?
From the arthritis, right. But it was being caused by the starch. So what had happened was I had become a starchitarian. Right. So a lot of vegetarians, a lot of vegans end up being starchitarians. They're not eating enough fresh fruits and vegetables. Right. So at that point I realized that I was going to have to make a lifestyle change, but I still had teenagers at home. I was still self-employed doing hair. So that's when I became a raw foodist, and that was 9 years ago. And my business grew out of that.
And the name of your business is?
Tassili's Raw Reality.
And it's located where?
Yes. In the West End, 1059 Ralph David Abernathy, in the historic West End.
The best end.
The best end. That's right, that's right.
So
West side, this side.
Oh my goodness. Look at this. This
That's
leads
the Cali influence.
Oh, you're from Cali? You
Yeah,
live there?
San Diego. I was raised in San Diego.
Oh,
That's
really?
awesome. You know, I kind of want to move to Cali just because they say it's the sun. It's always sunny in California.
Like this.
And I love it.
Yeah, but it's a dry heat.
Yeah.
But I've been here almost 30 years, so.
Oh, I would like to say, I started changing my lifestyle through Rastafari.
Really?
Yeah, when Bob Marley and they were talking about ITAL living, ITAL meaning natural living, that changed my life. So that was in the late 70s. And
I feel like Bob Marley's a big influence on my life too, so I'm dying to hear this.
Oh yes, yes. So when I, you know, found out about, I don't know, eating differently, I really did embrace it, and I felt so much better. I had gained a lot of weight from having my children and couldn't get rid of it, so that like disappeared. I got stronger, and the stamina that you get from, you know, changing out of the meat is just incredible. It's almost immediate.
It is.
Yeah. So that was many years ago, but I was still doing. I couldn't release dairy. Cheese. Oh,
that's my issue. That's my issue right now.
But then I started listening to a sister who's on. There's a radio station here called WRFG 89.3 FM. Her name is Adama. She comes on Thursday night, midnight. She will have you eating for yourself, eating on the cellular level, and she will also have you knowing why you should be eating that way, and also that compassion for the animals. They want to live too, and all their angst when they're getting murdered and treated bad is going into our systems if you're eating that. So she kind of made me say, okay, I'm really feeling guilty eating this food. I don't want to feel guilty eating it. So I stopped. I stopped the dairy and the fish like that. And that's been probably about 10 years or more that I've stopped being totally vegan.
And that's amazing. See, your stories are going to help so many people out there stop eating meat, stop eating dairy, and it's really helping me right now because I'm a newly found pescatarian, like I told you guys before. I cut out meat. Well, first I cut out beef and pork, then I cut out chicken and turkey, but I still eat fish just because I started losing a lot of weight when I tried to become a vegetarian. And then I figured that fish, you know, would thicken me up a bit, keep me like at a regular.
So it's that starch.
So avocados.
Avocados?
Yeah, hemp seeds. You want to be potatoes, your nuts, your oats. You know, you want to make sure that you're eating a lot of fresh leafy greens along with those things, because you don't want to become a starchitarian too.
Yeah, right.
You know, because we can go to the opposite extreme with that, but eating a lot of avocados especially because it's natural fat and it's easy for the body to assimilate it, and it's rich in vitamin E, so it'll help you maintain your beautiful youthful skin, all of that good stuff.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Wait, I
don't like avocados that much.
You don't?
You don't?
But I found myself eating more healthy foods because they're healthier. Like there's a lot of stuff I don't like a lot of. I didn't like a lot of things, but when I realized how healthy they are, I think it was a mind thing really. Because when I realized how healthy they are, I just eat them now, and it doesn't bother me as much as it used to. I'm like, I hate this stuff, but now I'm just like, oh, okay.
That's all good.
Also, I work at Savanandah Natural Foods Market, which is a totally vegan, vegetarian market. It's in Little Five Points, you know, the fun part of town.
Oh, I think I've been there before.
Yes, you must come.
To Savanandah?
We have an organic salad bar, a hot bar deli, bulk herbs, bulk products, and it's, like I said, vegan, vegetarian, high standards, no dyes, no GMOs, no hormones, you know, no additives. So it already starts right there.
Right.
So, you know, I always say, do read your labels, always. But at least at Savanandah, you can start at a higher level.
Right, yeah.
And that's a really good point, Ifini, because when I first started learning about being healthy, some vegetarian friends of mine were like, do you know what's in your food? And I'm like, and I was eating a Hostess cupcake at the time, right? So I was like, yeah, it's chocolate, it's got milk and eggs in it, you know, and sugar. And they were like, no, read the label. So I started reading it, and most of the stuff in it, I didn't even know what it was.
Right.
Some of it I couldn't even pronounce.
Right.
I didn't know the difference between methylparaben and riboflavin. One is a preservative that's very harmful to your health. The other is a vitamin B. Riboflavin is a vitamin B, but it was a long word. I didn't know the difference between either one.
Right.
So it's no excuse nowadays for people to not know.
Right.
Because all you have to do is Google it.
Yeah.
Right.
Read your labels. If you don't know what the thing means, it doesn't matter if it's a short word, PBH, BHA. What is that? That's a preservative. Those things are known to be carcinogens, meaning they cause cancer. In our quest to have equality and us being able to be free to do what we needed to do and wanted to do, we confuse the term assimilation and integration. So, whereas all people except us go around the world and use a functional integration, meaning you're going to where you need to go to get what you need to get, and then you bring it back to your community and build your own community up.
Right.
Instead, we became assimilationists, thinking that we were supposed to just totally leave everything that we've been to go and try to be somebody else. How is that going to work? We can't be anybody else. First of all, we try to bleach our skin, all of that, straighten our hair, all of that is not going to change you from who you are.
Right.
Period. Okay? So, for example, you can't tell me that just because this flower looks like a flower, it's not real.
It's not real.
Right.
It's prettier than the tree in terms of color and shape and form than that bush, but the bush is real.
Yeah.
So you can't even compare them on a real level, real-time level, because they're two different things. They both serve a purpose, but they're two different things. And so we have forgotten who we are, and at the same time, when it comes to what that whole thing of equality is, in my opinion, what I see, our biggest problem is that when we were seeking this whole thing of equality, we were not taking into consideration that the people we were seeking to be equal with were morally bereft, meaning they didn't have no morals. Because if they did, they wouldn't be lynching us and burning down our cities and all the crazy stuff that they were doing. So when you're talking about people whose morals were down here and our morals were up here, now maybe materially we didn't have the same thing,
Right.
except we did when we talk about Black Wall Street. If we really do our historical research, we find that why their bodies are changing the way they are.
Right. Yeah.
The chicken, the estrogen in the chicken is causing men to grow breasts. Men are not supposed to have that much estrogen in their system.
What?
The estrogen in the chicken is causing women to have a reverse effect, and so they have more hair on their bodies, as well as many times little young girls are developing faster, so they're 5 and 6 with little breasts, and you're like, wait a minute, you're only 6. What are you doing with breasts?
Right.
And so It's the hormones in the food.
Yeah.
So we have to start being accountable for our lives. We could run around talking about racism this and racism that, but you know what? Nobody could put anything in our mouths.
Right.
We have to be the ones to do it. And just because somebody puts poison in your community doesn't mean you have to indulge in it.
Right.
And if you don't know it's a poison, that's only because you haven't done your own research to be sure of what you are dealing with. That's what being woke is, being conscious, being aware of what's happening with you in your life.
And I say that food is really the real weapon of mass destruction.
It
Right,
really
it is.
There's a lot of obese
If you think about it, a lot of diseases are caused by food. Heart disease, kidneys, diabetes. It goes on and on, high blood pressure. So once you change your liberty, change your culture, you can live and be happy.
So you're embracing a culture where you're eating to live, a livit, or having a livity, rather than a diet, which is eating to die. That's the standard American diet. The acronym for that is the SAD diet. You think we playing? Do your own research. Do your own research. That's what I'm talking about. Utilize the brain you were born with. It is said most people only use 10% of their brain.
Right.
Are you going to be normal and mediocre, or are you going to be exceptional and dynamic and powerful in this day and time? Are you going to live truth and speak truth to power? Because the people in power right now, they don't care nothing about you. For real though, and they will tell you to your face, which is what I like about them. Okay? Because it's no guessing. You feel me?
Right.
When you know what you're dealing with, then you can address it appropriately. When you kind of don't know, then you're like, well, I don't know.
Right.
Should I do this? Should I do that? No. When you know people don't like you, what do? You handle your own business, right? You don't depend on them for anything. There's power in that.
You're right. She speaks truth.
I want to ask you guys, before we get out of here, I've got 2 more questions to ask you guys. I know you're busy and you gotta go. So, do you believe that most people in today's society are aware and accepting of others' culture?
You want to answer that first? Or you want me to?
I can answer it because I've thought about that a lot. Because being at Savanandah, we embrace all cultures. We're very diverse. We have from hippies to millionaires that come in. We have street people that come in. So we have all kinds of people. So I feel that inclusiveness of everyone. As long as you're not harming anyone, as long as you're not doing it. However, my son told me I was living in a bubble and that most people don't believe like that. That most people have their prejudices and their hatreds and whatever, and their judgments of other people. So, I don't know. I would say in my world, we're all one blood.
Right.
Maybe outside of my world, I don't know and I don't care.
Exactly. I like that answer.
Yeah, for real though. I would kind of go along with that in the sense that I think most people are prejudiced. I don't think most people are naturally racist though. And I think people have developed racism out of a sense of survival. You know, if you know that your race can't stand the sun, if you know that your race is a recessive gene predominantly, then you are only concerned with survival. Especially when you see everybody else on the planet being able to deal with the sun and being able to be a dominant, you know, being. And so the whole concept of racism has been one to trick us into thinking that what we have is not valuable.
Right.
So that extends, of course, into culture. And when we look at culture today, everything in America is a combination of everybody else's culture. And the only people who don't really recognize their contribution to this culture are Africans born in America. We think that we haven't done anything because that's what the schools teach us. That's what the media teaches. We have done everything. There is nothing in this country that we did not do first.
Right.
Now we may have let other people take it over.
Take the credit for it.
Okay, take the credit for it, all of that. But when you do the research, going back to doing your own research, you find who is at the root of all things.
Right, and actually, I'm sorry.
No, it's good. You're right.
It was a guy, you know, the guy who created peanut butter was black.
Right.
The woman who created the Playboy bunny outfit was black.
What? I didn't know that.
Whoever created the comb, the first comb, the one we call the weave brush, or the white
Madam
people
C.J.
brush.
Walker.
Yep, she created that. And also the guy who does Lacoste was the black man, and he created the first metal tennis racket, because they used to be wooden.
The refrigerators, air conditioners, the rockets that went to the moon, the satellites, the space station.
We
the
go
car.
on and on.
We go on. How about the cell phone? How about that one? The cell phone. How about the mainframes of the computers? How about that?
Let me tell you.
Not to mention most of the food that you eat in its natural state.
It's amazing.
That's what's up. They have their